Hey guys, welcome to the video. Just a note, I'm not a professional. I do not advise you to follow me. I looked at the ifixit website for instructions on how to clean the sensor. Instructions were a bit unclear, so a Russian video of how to clean the sensor, how to disassemble the Lx100 to clean the sensor. That was a bit unclear because I didn't know Russian. Oh shit, I've started. So yeah, these are the screws that I used for the disassemble. Apparently you need a Phillips 000 screw, but I used a flat one instead because it's the flat surface made it easier to get into the grooves. I actually tried using a Phillips screw and it broke because it was so small. Yeah, here is the foot pump I use for my exercise bowl. By the way, I suggest you to use plastic spudgers. Plastic is better, I just didn't have it on hand. But really, all you need is the screws and a water bottle, because it's gonna take a while. Took me about 5 hours, and how many tries? Took me about 3 tries. But this video will show you the complete process. Yeah, so the ifixit website shows you that there are these screws you have to take off. It's pretty straightforward. Actually, I mean, if you're really good at disassembling small stuffs like iPhones and cameras, I suggest you just, well, I'm not gonna recommend you to do anything, but I think if you're confident, basically all you need to do is remove every screw that you see and disconnect all the ribbons, and naturally you'll get to the sensor. So yeah, but I'll just show you the steps and some of the challenges that I have faced. The videos are kind of long because there are actually some things that happen. For instance, things that just that you can't take off, or things you can't detach from the camera. And I'll just show you some tips on how I managed to do it. So here I'm just taking some screws off the Lx100. The magnetic screwdrivers are really good because these really little tiny screws can just disappear if it falls off. And this part is pretty easy. By the way, I'm a bit rough with the with taking stuff off the camera because I did not know it to leave marks on the camera until I actually did it. So I suggest you just do it softly. See how I left some marks there because I tried to wedge it out from the edge, but actually you just lift the thing up like that and then take it out with your finger. I was having a bit of a problem here, so I had to put the camera down. So get a flat screw, put it inside the gap and then push it out with your finger. That way you won't leave marks on your camera. I actually bought this camera for $150 off a guy because it was so dirty. So I thought it was worth taking the risk of dismantling the camera to get to the sensor. But again, I don't advise you to do that, but at the same time, I think it's $350 if you get someone to do it for you. So yeah, in my case, it was worth the risk. But if the dust spots on your camera is not that bad, just don't do it. So yeah, I'm just going through all the screws. There's that screw beneath the lens, through the viewfinder. Actually, once you unscrew it, just take the plastic cap off. I don't think I did that. I think I forgot to take it off after I unscrew this. And it will be a good idea to, you know, have some boxes in front of you to keep the items. Oh, and here's the plastic rubber thing. There's a screw hidden there that you have to take away in order to lift the camera body case off. So I'm just putting it down and getting it ready. So yeah, you'll need about 4 boxes to put your screws in. And all you really need is a tweezer and some screws that like the Torx T3 screw, and depending on your camera model, and the Phillips 000 screw. So in the ifixit website, it says it's easier to start from top right. But it's not actually the top corner, it's actually, as you can see, where I loosen the camera, it's actually those 2 places. So you start loosening the body from there. I've tried other places and they just wouldn't budge. And then just go around the camera just softly. During the camera removal, I suggest you to just do everything by small force. Like, don't ever apply huge force because you don't ever need to use a lot of strength. So if you do find that you need to apply a lot of strength, that means something is wrong, or that you haven't loosened the part yet. Yeah, so you should take that plastic cap off. And here I'm just kind of doing it because I've never done this before. I'm just going around the body, just seeing where I can loosen it. I've never applied strong force to take away the case before. So right now I'm not too sure how to get the body out. But yeah, but it's actually there. Yeah, loosen that part if you can. Like push the LCD body case towards you, and it should loosen by itself, as you can see. Yep, and then just slowly lift it up. When you lift one side, always make sure the other side is also coming off as well. And notice how there's a ribbon attached to the body camera there. What you want to do is lift up that black, see how there's a black little secure thing? Just lift it up and the ribbon should come off if you just slide it off. And I think I've taken that screw off, I can't remember. But yeah, any screw you see, just take it off. And then you'll be able to get to the camera sensor. So now this is a weird part. I just wasn't sure how people took this part off. Again, I'm not a professional. I just thought I'd make this video so that, you know, if you're following the ifixit website, you have something more that you can use to disassemble your Lx100. So yeah, you actually lift it up from there. Actually, what am I doing? Yeah, I'm just feeling my way around to see where... Yep, that's where you lift it off. Do it softly. Yeah, I'm just examining where other places where I can loosen it more easy. See, that's a problem with ifixit website. There's just no videos of how to actually. It just goes from step 1 and you end up in step 2, but there are complications in between that you'll encounter if you try to do it yourself. So yeah, I'm just feeling... Oh yeah, so see where I got the screw there? I think that part was pretty good. that part was a good place to also loosen it. What you want to actually do is to pull it so the camera becomes kind of wider, so that the case is not being squeezed. So see the reason why it's not coming off, because it's being squeezed by the body of the camera. So I'll show you how. Wait. Yeah, I think this part of the video should have been cut shorter and I should have just shown you how I loosened it. But we should be coming up to the part where I found a way to loosen it. Don't follow what I just did, but yeah, see, you widen the body, the body of the camera, then it should come loose. So you just kind of pull that part out, because that's where it's kind of been stuck. Hopefully that would have helped you. And now I'm just figuring out how to actually get this piece out. You actually have to pull it up from the left side, but I'm doing it, I'm not actually, but I didn't know at the time. Yeah, don't do that. I'm just still testing out. Oh yeah, that's a good part to kind of lift up. So yeah, you can lift that part up so it kind of comes out a bit easier. So now, see how there's like the two hinges that's slowly coming out? What you want to do is just pull that up, but not too high, okay? Because it's still, the LCD ribbon is still attached to the motherboard beneath. So if you lift up too high, you will damage the ribbon. So just kind of pull it high enough so the hinges come into view. And then after that, what you want to do is tilt it 90 degrees to the left, which I will show you soon. Yeah, at this moment, I'm still looking at the ifixit website and getting clues from the video from that Russian guy. So yeah, you lift it up, and then what you do is you flip it 90 degrees to the left. Yep, you can do it. I'm sure you can. As I am looking at myself from the future. So just lift it up, not too high. The ribbons, see how the ribbon is connected to the cable? I think those cables are called EMP cables, where they are secured by like a black flap. So right now you want a third hand, if you have, to flip that black hinge, black secure thingy up. So you use your fingernail to just flip it up, and the cable should come out. Don't try to force the cable out. So here I'm showing you how to do that. Flip it up, see how that becomes loose, and then slowly lift, slowly slide that cable off. Good, hope that went well for you as well. And then yeah, just dismantle everything you see here. Pull off all the, flip all the, yeah, I'm not a technician, I don't even know what that flap is. Let's just call it a flap. So flip all the flaps up and then slide the cables away. You can just do it with your fingers. But the one on the left, which I'm showing you now, you may need a tweezer to get in. A plastic one is better. I just borrowed this from my mom's makeup box. And that works too. And so for all the ribbons you see, just flip it up and then slide it out. Now there will be 2 ribbons that are not, that you can just pull off without having to flip the flap. Now those 2, I would suggest you just leave it, because for me, I mean, if you're a pro, you should take it off. It'll make things easier at the end, but it was just too hard for me to slide it off, so I just left it on. So in the end, I still, yeah, those 2. Though those 2, there are no flaps, so I didn't want to take them off because putting it back was, I felt too much of an effort. So I just left it on. So now the motherboard is still stuck to, so now the motherboard is still stuck to the camera through those 2 ribbons. Now if you can take them off, I suggest you do that, so you can, so your motherboard don't have to be stuck with the camera, which will make things easier when we go beneath the motherboard. But if you're not a pro like me, leave it on and just flip the motherboard up 90 degrees and just leave it hanging there. So now if you see screws in front of you, just unscrew it. I saw on the ifixit website there were some screws, I don't know, probably different models of camera they were showing. There were just some screws that wasn't there on my camera, so I just ended up taking all the screws. So yeah, after you unscrew the thing, you can unscrew everything. You can take the viewfinder out. So as you can see, the ribbon, the viewfinder ribbon is one of the ones I talked to you about that didn't require flap. As a result, you have to actually pull it out. And like I said, I don't like to use a lot of force, and when I found that I needed to use a lot of force to pull it out, I decided I'm just gonna keep it there. So here, I'm not too sure how to take the motherboard out, so I'm just still figuring it out. So there's a screw I found. Basically, yeah, you just unscrew everything you see. And once you unscrew everything, everything will become loose. And enough for you to get to the camera sensor without damaging anything. But always be careful. Always be careful, don't when you unscrew things, because you may just slip and damage the motherboard. So this part is quite dangerous. As you can see, I've never used the spudger, so I just use that toothpick thing, or that pick thing, just to see where I can loosen stuff. But you don't really need it. Oh yeah, so this is when I figured out you can actually remove the like the USB connection flap on the right, this the HDMI thing, and from there you can just see, you can actually remove that. Just remove that, and that's how you can loosen the motherboard. Yep, I suggest you get a box behind the camera, so when you flip the motherboard up, if it's still attached to the camera, it has a resting place. So now I'm just figuring out how to do this. So yeah, I'm just showing you what is, so the sensor is behind that copper plate, and the sensor is attached to the copper plate with a ribbon. So once you pull the copper plate out, you have to, yeah, you have to unscrew the copper. You have to unscrew these screws, and some of these screws are Torx T3 screws, depending on the model of your camera. Once you unscrew them, the sensor should come out. Now, just a note: when you start dismantling this part of the camera, the more screws you take off, the more the camera will bloat up. Because I think there's a spring system behind it. So once you pull that up, yeah, so everything's gonna bloat up, like become fatter. Which is not gonna affect anything, really. It's just that, just don't, yeah. So just remove that copper piece. And the sensor is beneath. Now I'm just figuring out why I can't pull this out. It's basically because the ribbon is kind of, yeah, the cords, the ribbon behind. Actually, everything's loose at the moment. It's just some of the ribbons are like too close to each other, making me think that it's stuck. But there you go. That's a sensor in front of me, which I will show you. See, so that's the sensor, which is attached to the copper plating. So yeah, see how on the top right there's that thing coming out? That was the place where I got stuck. So there you go. That's a sensor we want to clean. It's really hard to record and clean at the same time, but I'll just show you some things. So yeah, it's if you zoom it in, you can actually see a lot of dust on the on the sensor. So as you can see, there are these white spots. You know, I actually tried the technique of using the vacuum. I heard this like a life hack, and I vacuumed for like an hour and a half using different ways of maximizing the suction, and it only made it worse for me. Apparently it worked well for others, so maybe it's something you can try. But yeah, the vacuum never worked for me, unfortunately. So yeah, oh yeah, don't copy what I'm doing. I just felt that maybe I can use a static dust cleaner to wipe some places. But yeah, yeah, you shouldn't be doing that. So don't follow what I did. Because I was quite sure that I was gonna do it really softly, but I don't think. I think some people will end up doing it really hard. So here you want some sort of blower, yeah, and then just blow the thing away. But yeah, the springs are actually loose, so when you blow it, yeah, that's what happens. So yeah, springs can be put back, but the danger with damaging the springs is that you'll damage the way the lens focuses. So be careful with that. Yeah, here I'm just wondering why I can't get the dust off. Then I realized the dust is actually behind that screen. So there are just some places you can't clean. But this is a good time to just kind of blow around the camera to make sure there's no dust, because if you don't do that, they'll eventually just kind of make their way in. Yeah, I'm just looking to yeah, I'm just figuring out that, yeah, the dust is actually behind the screen. I can't do anything. But, you know, I still persisted to see what what I can do, because otherwise if I just go halfway, it's a waste of time spending like hours taking off everything just to not try my best. But yeah, I'm just cleaning around the camera. Yeah, and remember when you put after you clean the sensors and put everything back, and make sure see the ribbon on the bottom left? When I put it back and I forgot to leave it sticking out, so it ended up being stuck under the copper plate. So I had to get a paper clip and change the shape to pull it out. So hopefully that doesn't happen to you. Make sure that all the ribbons don't get covered when you put the copper plate and sensor back into their previous position. Now the blowing should be enough, but my camera sensor was pretty dirty. So I had to get a sensor cleaning solution and a swab to clean the sensor itself. I've never done it before, but I saw on a YouTube video, what you do is to get a swab, and then you do about 3 drips of the solution onto the edges in the middle of the swab, and then just go back and forth 1 time. But obviously later you'll see that I didn't do that. I did it quite a few times, just to make sure that everything's clean. So yeah, you just put the spring back on. At this time when I put back on, I felt that the spring was higher than the other 2. So I decided to leave it to turn it around. Yeah, it's this time that you really want a third hand to help you hold things. So this is a solution I bought from Amazon. Apparently it's got quite a good rating. And the size of the swab, I think it's something ASPC. Anyways, I'll provide a link for you guys if you want the solution that I used. And the swab size is actually pretty good. I was thinking of cutting it up to size, but it just fitted quite perfectly. Now the reason why I did it a few times, as you will see after this, is because when I try to put the sensor back, I keep touching the sensor by accident. Yeah, because I'm not a professional. But yeah, if you do everything right, it should take you about 1.5 hours to 2.5 hours. For me, it took me 4 hours because I ran into some complications, which I will tell you later. Basically, just when I put everything back on, I forgot to connect some cables properly, and that meant I had to go back and redo everything again. So always make sure that your cables are well connected when you put the lens back. Yeah, here I was worrying that my camera would just fall onto my camera, because I'm recording with my iPhone, and the mounting was a bit loose. So if you are recording your dismantling with a device, make sure everything is secure, because there were times that the tripod just nearly fell onto the camera because I wasn't a professional. So yeah, whoops, see how I touched it? So yeah, anyways. yeah, maybe just hold on to the back and then put everything into its place. Now I'm just doing extra cleaning because my hand touched the sensor. And I knocked off one of the springs too, so I put it back. So now just put that back. Now when you put this back, right? Because I told you before, when you dismantle the copper thing, the camera will bloat up. So now what you want to do is actually lift the camera with the left hand and start putting the screw back on. Because if you screw it back now, the weight on the lens is actually pushing the plate back, which you'll understand more if you get to this part. See how the plate is kind of like being pushed up. So here I should have just used my left hand to take away some weight from the lens, so I can settle down deeper into the camera. Here I think I was stuck, so I was trying to figure out how to do it. But yeah, you just do everything in reverse. Basically, because I told you when I put everything back, the camera LCD stopped working, lens wouldn't open because of some connections. Basically, it was the connection. The two connections that I told you that didn't have a flap, those were a bit loose, and one with a flap was loose. And no, actually it wasn't a flap. It was just one of the flaps near those connectors that was loose. And the LCD, I didn't put the cable in deep enough, so there was no LCD. But yeah, so when you dismantle, I think instead of putting all the screws in, just make sure the connectors are in, then you put in the screw. Make sure everything is in, connected, and then put the battery. Just test it before screwing it on, so you don't have to unscrew everything if something doesn't work. But yeah, everything worked for me, and my camera is working now, and it looked really clean. And the shots that I used to take before that would have dust spots. Now they don't have any. Usually the dust spots come in around apertures 8, and when my lens is zoomed in, but now it's just not there. So basically this feels like a new camera. So now I'm just showing you how that my camera is still working. Actually, when the connectors weren't plugged in properly, I couldn't change the aperture, and my lens was just stuck. As you can see, everything is working, and I can change the aperture. It was just hard to change it with one hand. But yeah, everything works as fine as before. So yeah, just do everything in reverse, and I hope this video has helped you to understand more. It's not a complete video, I suggest you use other resources too, but just some of the tips I guess you can gain from this video to know some reasons why you can't take away some parts and get through the layers. Yeah, so hopefully this works fine for you, and yeah, thanks for watching.